不要なトラブルに遭わないように注意してください。こちらは新宿警察署。
Hello and welcome back to Shigai. So thank you very much for last week. My episode, the first episode, did absolutely fantastically. It was well received from everyone and it meant a lot to me after losing all my information data to be able to come back with something, and everyone loved it. So this week I'm doing things a little differently. I've done a slightly different format. I've started the videos you just saw with a cinematic of what we did last week. That's something I'm going to keep doing. So at the beginning of every video, it'll always show you what we did last week, so you can, catch up if you haven't watched the episode. I do recommend you go off and watch the previous episodes. But if you did miss it for any reason and you want to watch this one first, you'll get a little sneak preview of what we did there as well. Also, what I'm doing is about halfway through the video, we're going to shoot some cinematics, which are going to be street level cinematics and a few different bits like that. Just to break up the video, and then we've got the full cinematic overview of the whole build at the end of it. So like I said, it's a little something different. I hope you like it. Please let me know in the comments if you do, and I'll keep doing it. If not, then I'll change it back to what it was before. So today what we're going to do is I'm going to start by building like a little suburban sort of build. This is part of the city. In Japan, the cities are quite large and in charge, as they say. I can't believe I just said large and in charge, but what are you going to do? So, around the main central stations and stuff like that, in Japan, you've got the really big cities, the big buildings that we all know, like in Tokyo, Osaka and stuff like that. But as they go out towards the edge of the borders, they get smaller and smaller and smaller. What I wanted to do here is I wanted to do one side of the station. It's small suburban areas, still built up, quite a lot of buildings there, quite a lot of residents living in the area, but not as big buildings as you have, in Tokyo and Osaka and stuff like that. And then on the other side of the station where the castle's going to sit and the grounds there, you're going to have the larger city around that. And I wanted to kind of create a contrast between the two areas. It does kind of fade in. You've got on this side of the station as well, you've got like the big area in front of the station that we built last week. And then it kind of comes down to what I'm building now. As you've seen there, I've put down a load of residential properties to start getting people to move into the city, into my little suburban area. I suppose that's what you could call it. They could definitely call that in the West, in Asia and Japan. It's not really suburban, it's just normal. And then they have all the more built up areas in the main central cities like Tokyo and Osaka and stuff like that, as I mentioned before. So what I'm doing now is one thing you do find in Japan a lot, especially when you're walking around the streets of places like Kyoto, Hiroshima and stuff like that, which are not as upbuilt as like Tokyo and Osaka. And you tend to see a lot of random shrines just out in the street. You do get them in Tokyo, but they tend to be a bit more in the back streets. So what I've done with this one is I've gone based on something similar to what I've seen in Kyoto, where when you're going around and you've just got houses, shops, and a shrine. So I'm mimicking that as much as I can throughout this whole series because I love that effect. It's so nice, it's so different, and it breaks up the urban environments that you usually get in here. What I'm also doing as well is I'm also putting like a little graveyard right next to this shrine. And I'm doing this because last time I was in Tokyo, I was walking to Nakano Broadway and I came across this lovely shrine in the middle of the city. It looked absolutely gorgeous. So we went to obviously look around and see what it was like, and then found out that it was attached to this big graveyard. But the graveyard really looked good the way it was done. I'd gone for something a little bit different here and made it a bit more in ruins, untamed, unmanned, because I'll be honest, I like the way it looks, so I've definitely gone for that. Okay, so just using a couple of older style Japanese buildings here just to break up the area a little bit. They're absolutely lovely buildings, lovely assets, and they kind of just break it up. So you've got those really more modern style Japanese houses with a couple of older ones dotted in between. I do use a few more a little later on as well, and what that does is that just makes it look like, you know, the city's kind of grown around these properties that were already there at one point. As you can see now from on the screen, I've got that little black edging around the roads there. It's a lovely little fence. It's made by Avanya. It's non-conforming, so I absolutely love it. It comes really in handy for this city here. However, I have just downloaded that mod that allows you to turn terrain conforming props and assets into non-terrain conforming, which allows me to PO things. So I use the nice Tokyo guardrails there, and they'll be going around the whole place, and they'll look absolutely amazing once they're done. Obviously I didn't want to use them in the first place because it will just increase the prop count hugely, but now I can make them into POs. Absolutely fantastic. So I was left with this little area here in between the buildings. I didn't quite know what to do with it. So what I decided to do in the end was turn it into what used to be like a little walkway between the areas. So from the main road coming in here off to the little houses, for example, or just across. But since then it's obviously been gated off here. I'm using the little barriers to stop people from getting through, and of course vending machines. It's Japan, vending machines, they're absolutely everywhere. Probably in my eye, it's the best thing about Japan. I love it, and when I came back to the UK I completely missed the fact there wasn't a vending machine on the corner of my street. Obviously, as I said, this area has been a bit untamed and has overgrown since. It's been blocked off for quite a while. But again, it just fills in the space and it looks quite nice, I find. So coming onto the front here, which is directly opposite the entrance to the station, I wanted to do something a little different. Obviously I've still got the houses around here, but I wanted to do this, I don't know, it's not like a shrine, it's more of a building. It is a property where people live, but again, an old looking building. It is more Chinese in style, but I do like it and it does fit here in the end, which I'm quite happy with. But what it did is it left me with this, again, another big opening here. So in the style of Japan, where they do make the most out of every single space they're given, I turn this into a nice little play area. So I'm going to put a nice little basketball court here, a public toilet. Again, it's not so trimmed and trained as most places. It's kind of untamed a little bit. So there's a little space in the corner there just by this shop and these little shops on the side there and some of the old houses, and I really didn't know what to do there. So what I end up doing is I end up building like a public area, so you've got a public restroom, a few benches and stuff like that, but it's kind of been forgotten about. Whether the Japanese government decided they were going to build something there originally and never got round to it, maybe due to budget constraints or something like that, I don't know, but I put a load of signs around it so it looks like they were going to do something, but closed it off in the end, and it's just been left there and overgrown and, you know, fallen to time basically. So now what we're doing here is I'm putting in my first little sub-train station here. So you've got the main station behind it. I know this is really close, but it's just a small one, and it kind of just services this little area. I love this station. It's very small, very nice, very Japanese, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. So about halfway through the video now, and coming up to the first set of little mini cinematics. Please let me know what you think, and if you like the format, and I'll keep it going ongoing. I like it, and I hope you do too. So you saw a few glimpses there of what I actually ended up doing in that little area that I was talking about earlier, and please tell me if you agree with me. Doesn't it look good? I'm really happy with the way that turned out as well. So now I'm just detailing up this train station here. You did see in the last cinematic a bit of what it's going to look like. Again, it just feels really nice. It's a bit built up, but you know, it is absolutely lovely. So going through all my assets here to try and fill this station up. Obviously I put the vending machines in, these health and safety warnings that I put on the fences here for people. And then I decided to do something a little different, and I thought, as trains are coming into this station here, sometimes they are stopped for maintenance or anything like that, for emergency services, something that needs to be done quickly. So I added this little platform here with obviously a stop sign as well to make sure the drivers stop the trains when they're coming in. Again, it's something different. I haven't really seen it a lot around, but I really like it and I'm quite happy with it. Thanks to PO, I was able to take this one platform and remove things like the fences and stuff like that, and get it to line up absolutely perfectly. Speaking of PO, I'm going to do a lot of it now, and I'm going to do a load of buildings in the front of this this station here. So obviously I've got the public toilets, and then a load of other like shops and stuff there, which I end up using the service cubes for commercial to put inside them, so they actually attract people to the area and still do function. But I end up putting all the buildings there and I squash them down or remove the back, whichever way you want to look at it, so they fit in this area perfectly. So I'm nestling this station in between houses here. You do get that a lot again in Japan, where you'll have a random train station just in the middle of all the properties. For some reason, people don't really mind living so close to the train track. Here in the Western world, we've got a real big bee in our bonnet for doing it, but they don't seem to mind so much in Asia. So I'm obviously going to take advantage of that and build as much of it as I can around train tracks, because I like the way that looks, and the suburban area with a track going right through the middle of it, I'm quite happy. So I'm going to keep going and do that as much as I can. What I'm going to do now is on the front of this station here is I'm going to put a bit of commercial down, again just to sort of spread up the area a little bit and you know, make it so it's not so dense and not so you know, just repetitive. It's the same thing over and over again, just to, you know, bring a bit more life into it. Again, using some of the older Japanese buildings here just to break it up a little bit again. They fit really well in this area here, so I'm quite happy with that. Again, using the Japanese fences, they're absolutely amazing. The one good thing about these fences is they are PO'able, so I can edit them. As you can see there, I'm making it a bit smaller to fit into that section here. Originally, I blocked this whole area off. As you can see, I end up here in that fence into place, but then I do change my mind and I take it away and turn it into like a little garage here, so I can put cars in and stuff like that. For some reason, I'm using the railroad barrier replacement mod that's available in the workshop, and for some reason when I use the Japanese ones, it doubles them up in a really weird way, so I do end up taking it off until I can figure out what's wrong with it and get it working correctly. But you know, the ones that I currently use, the vanilla ones, look absolutely fine for the moment until I can get that model set up and working. So this little area here outside the train station, this little cube-ish style area here, I wasn't quite sure what to do with it. Originally I wanted to just gravel it and fence it off, and then I thought, no, let's do something a bit different here. So again, I say different, I added vending machines, it's not really that different, but I put this bicycle space in there as well. That's something very different. You get a lot of that in Japan, public bicycles everywhere. Okay, so what I'm doing now is I'm using the terraforming nodes here to create a canal going right through, and I'm going to use those absolutely amazing Shibuya River bank props by our good friend Artifacts. They're absolutely amazing. and I'm going to use them all here. And again, the great thing about these is they're PRable, so I can change the shapes and the size of them. And I thank you, Artifacts, for these assets here. They're absolutely amazing. I saw them in your last video, and straight away I was like, I've got to download these and I'm going to have to use them. And they really fit well here. To start off with, I'm just going to go for a straight line right down through the middle of the city, but eventually it's going to branch off. It's going to swerve around and look a lot better, not bigger. So I hope you like it. I'm going to leave you with a time lapse of me building it now. So as you can see, I had a lot of issues trying to find something to fit in this little space here. But you know, eventually I do sort of figure it out. I end up going with this lovely little building here for this family mart. Again, POing it to get rid of the back there to make it fit perfectly, and using these service cubes in there as well to make it function. Directly opposite here, I had this similar problem. I was left with some odd shapes and odd sort of sizes of areas here. I told you about using my nice little sweet shop building, but it didn't really fit the area a bit. And as well as I need to go back into the asset editor and darken it a little bit because it is a bit bright for this section here. So what I end up doing is I end up getting rid of everything I built in this little section here, and I stick this lovely Japanese shop asset here. Again, I PO it to get rid of the car park, and I put my own car park in there, just so it fits the area a bit more and the space that I'm confined with. I often find that when I'm building these suburban areas that I have a lot of space in between buildings. They're a bit of an odd shape. So what I tend to do with them is I tend to put pedestrian paths going through them. I think that's great because I can go in, I can detail it, add the vending machines and stuff like that, and bike racks and all sorts of things there just to fill the area in, and they do create a better pedestrian path in the city here. And I do find that I don't have many cars going around the city because most people are walking in the paths. So the cinematics are now coming up. I really hope you enjoyed this episode and the new format that I'm going for. I absolutely loved it and I do want to continue it, so please let me know in the comments if you did enjoy it. Thank you for joining me. It's been a pleasure as always. I do apologise that I don't talk much, but sometimes I'd rather my work spoke for me instead of my voice going over the top of it and distracting all you lovely people from what I'm actually building. So if you are new to my channel, please leave me a subscribe and hit that bell notification button to get updated on everything that I've got releasing in the near future. I am looking at doing another walking video, maybe a driving video, stuff like that as well. So it's going to be absolutely fantastic. I've got a lot coming up. And if you're a regular here or new, it doesn't matter. Please leave me a comment and a like down below. It really does help the channel out. And visit my workshop for some of the lovely assets I've got on there as well. It's been absolutely fantastic, guys. If you really enjoyed it, please click my link for Buy Me a Coffee account and drop me a £1. Thank you very much, guys, and have yourself a lovely, lovely day.